morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Douglas, and I have a question for you. Have you ever wondered if people really like you? Yeah. So, today, we're going to talk about how to make people like you. So, I'm going to talk about inspired on the book How to Influence and Influence People, written by Dale Carnegie. So, I think like what I want to teach you, not to teach you, but to show to you, is that we can learn how to make people like us. And so it's not about manipulating people, it's about knowing about the human nature. So I don't want to teach you how to manipulate anyone. I just want to show you like what's the human nature and how we can use this to make people like us. So we'll start with, we have 4 topics that I want to show you. And the first one is becoming genuinely interested in other people. The other one is smile. The third, being a good listener. And the last one, talk in terms of the other person's interests. So, becoming genuinely interested in other people. So we have here the best example. So, when you get within 10 meters from your house, like your dog will begin to wag his tail. If you stop and pet him, you almost jump out of his skin to show how much he loves you. And behind this, there is no ulterior motives. He doesn't want to sell you anything. He doesn't want to marry you. He just loves you. You know? And all that he wants is to make you happy. So that's what we are talking about. So probably you know people that try to make you feel interested in them. And it doesn't work. People are not interested in you or in me. People are just interested in themselves. That's how people are, you know. And there was a research made by the New York Telephone Company, and they made a detailed study of telephone conversations to find out which word was the most frequently used. And guess what was the word that was the most used? Can you imagine?
I.
I. The personal pronoun I was used 3,900 times in 500 telephone conversations. So, I want to make you a question. Like, when you see when you take a group photo, so you join your friends and take a photo, who is the first person you look for in the photo? Who? Yourself. Yeah. Yeah, you take a photo and say, oh, let's see how was the photo, and just see if you look good, and say, okay, this photo is good. Yeah. Yes. If it doesn't, you just say, oh, come on, let's take another. You don't care about how your friends look. You just care how you look. Yeah. And you don't care about the view. Don't care. You just care how you look. So the first point is, people are interested in themselves. So, how can you use this? We need to put ourselves out and do things for other people. We need to become genuinely interested in other people. Sorry, the photo. So that's what I wanted to show you. After taking a photo, imagine, is this guy worried about the girls? He's not. You don't have to worry about him, I'm sure of it. So, the second thing is smiling. Actions speak louder than words. And smile say, I like you. You make me happy. I'm glad to see you here. So that's why dogs make such a hit. And they do all that things when they see us. So naturally, we are glad to see the dog. You see that dog smile at you, and you just smile at him back. A baby smiles has the same effect. And what about an insincere smile? Like, it doesn't fool anyone. You can't just pretend to smile. It doesn't happen. So, people feel when you do mechanical and just they don't like it. I'm talking about real smile, a heartwarming smile, a smile that comes from inside. So I want to tell you a story about a very busy businessman that had been married for 18 years. So he was used about not smiling. He didn't like to smile at all. And one day he decided he was combing his hair and he wanted watch it in the mirror and say, "From now on, I'm going to smile. I want to try this thing. I want to see how it happens." So when he sat with his wife to have breakfast, he said, "Good morning. Good morning, my dear," and smiled to her. So imagine what was her reaction. She was shocked. It never happened before. And he said that he would keep doing this every morning. And then he started doing this to everyone. With the elevator operator, with the cashier in the coffee shop, and his fellows at the work that had never seen him smile, ever. So what happened? People started to smile back to him. And the job became easier, and then he got promoted. So smile is so when you first see people, it's different when you say, "Hi, my name is Douglas. Nice to meet you."
Nice to meet you too. My name is Bruno.
Yeah. I forgot to ask your name. Or it's different when I say, "Hey, my name is Douglas.
Hey, nice to
What's
meet
your
you.
name?"
My name is Wayne. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So glad to see you here. So it's different. We need to smile. But it doesn't need to be mechanical. It needs to come from here, from inside. And the next thing, we need to be good listeners. Because people, all they want is somebody to ask him, "How are you?" People, the urge to talk about themselves. And all they are waiting is someone to listen about his concerns, about his accomplishments. So what can we do? We can be an attentive listener, which means we need to be interesting and also interested. So Charles Eliot, he was a president from Harvard, and he said, "There is no mystery about successful business relationship. Giving exclusive attention to the person who's speaking to you is very important, because nothing else is so flattering as that." So people got very pleased when they see that you are interested about them. So what can we do? We need to encourage them to talk about themselves and their accomplishments. You don't need to know a lot about all the things, all the topics. All you need to know is to follow some rules. About when people, you need to find, I use this a lot. You need to find what people like to talk about. Yeah, like, Charlie, tell me one thing that you really like. A subject, a topic that you really like. Sports, good. So I know that he likes sports, and I can ask him, "What sports do you like?"
Soccer and basketball.
Soccer?
Yeah.
Oh, really good. So I like soccer too. And do you play soccer? Can you?
Sure.
Sure?
Yeah.
Oh, how long time are you playing? Like, do you play with your friends?
More than 50.
Yeah. So I just make questions to him, and I'm really interested about soccer too. and then we can have a conversation. Do I need to know everything about soccer to talk to him?
No.
All I need to know is to be interested and make him talk. Yeah? And sometimes I can talk a little. Not just listen and he will talk. It's not an interview. Yeah? I talk about myself too. But that's like, we can find, each person has a subject that likes to talk about, and we can talk with him about it. Yeah? So that's why we need to be good listeners. People really love to talk, but we have to stop a little and listen to them. So I want to talk about Abraham Lincoln. He has a very good story about this. He was the president of the United States during Civil War. It was a very complicated time because he wanted to free the slaves, and you had that fight, the North against the South. So once he was very worried about this thing of freeing the slaves, and he called a friend from Illinois to come to Washington to talk to him. So Lincoln said that he had some problems that he wanted to discuss with this friend, and this old neighbor of him went to the White House, and Abraham Lincoln talked to him for hours about the proclamation that he was about to say to free the slaves. Lincoln said all the arguments for and against such this move that he wanted to do. He read the letters, he read the newspapers, articles. Like some of the articles were denouncing him about freeing the slaves. Some others were denouncing him about worrying about this movement that he was going to do. So after talking about for hours, Lincoln shook hands with this old neighbor and said good night, and sent his friend back to Illinois without even asking for his opinion. Lincoln had done all himself. That seemed to clarify his mind. He didn't want an advice. All he wanted was a friendly listener so he could talk for hours. And that's all we need to do when we are in trouble. All that we want is somebody to listen to us, and then we can talk and talk, and then it will clarify our mind. So it can be used like, I know when I have a problem, I have my father to talk with. I already know what I have to do. I know, but I need someone to talk, and he will just listen to my concerns, and then it will clarify my mind. So we can be that person that will clarify our friend's mind. So this is another point that we can use so people will like us more. And other thing, the last thing that I want to talk about is talk in terms of the people's interests. So the best way to reach a person's heart is to talk about the things that he most or she most like. Franklin Roosevelt, that was another president of the United States, he used it to study about the other day he was going to receive someone. So the previous day he used it to study about what this person liked, so he could talk about the subject. So as we saw, if we smile, if we worry about the others, if we listen and we talk about what about their interests, so people will enjoy to be with us and talk with us. I have a final story about this subject of a person who wanted to sell bread to a hotel. He owned a bakery. He owned a bakery, so he wanted to sell bread for a hotel, and he was trying to talk with the manager of the hotel for 4 years, but the manager never wanted to see this person. So he would try it every week to talk with this manager, and he couldn't. So he found out that this manager really was belonged to a society of hotel executives. It was called HGA. So he found this manager was the president of this society. So what did he do? He went to a meeting and talked to this manager only about this society. Imagine what happened. This manager talked about this for hours. So he talked, he got so enthusiastic about talking about it, and then the seller, the bakery seller, he didn't talk anything about bread. Just talked about the thing that the other person wanted to talk about. And then the next week, guess what happened? The manager just called me. Hey, come to my office. I want to see the prices that you have and bring some samples. And then they made a deal. So the strategy was different. He just wanted to reach his heart, talking about the things that he liked. Yeah. So, summarizing, the 4 points that we talked about. Become genuinely interested in other people, like the dog. Smile. Be good listeners and talk in terms of other person's interest. So, I know that this works. I really know. I've read this book when I was 13 years old. No, not 13, 17 years old. And I've tried to do these things until it become natural. It's part of who I am right now. So I know when we do it, it will make people like us more. But it's not about it's not about manipulating people. It's about knowing how people feel. Sometimes when people just ask me, "How are you?" and I say, "I'm fine." And I know that the other people is waiting for me to ask how he is, how he's feeling. And sometimes I just forget. But I remember this, and I have a trigger, like Bruno said. And I feel, I need to ask him how he's too. And then how are you too? So, I know that this really happens. And that's it. Thank you very much.